Partnerships and cash flow. These are two topics that you can't miss with, and we tackle both today. I have one of my good friends, Nathan Shields, on, and we tackle how to have a very successful partnership, number one, and then what are the 4 things you can do to improve your cash flow. Now, I was kind of blown away by what he talked about, and I think you will be too. So make sure you stay tuned and check it out.
Practice owners, tired of working hard but not seeing the financial results you deserve? I'm Eric Miller, and my best-selling book, How to Become a Financial Beast, is your game changer. Learn how to maximize profits, pay yourself right, and build wealth outside your practice. Download now for free.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Financial Beast Podcast. I am your BFF, your host, Eric Miller, co-owner, chief advisor, Econologics Financial Advisors. We are definitely on a quest to help as many healthcare owners achieve financial stability by giving you premier financial advice. Please check us out at econologicsfinancialadvisors.com. And if you're brand new to the channel, you know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, so we can have awesome guests on like we have right now. Mr. Nathan Shields.
Let's go.
Co-owner of multiple businesses.
Private Practice Owners Club.
Private Practice Owners Club, which is probably one of the larger physical therapy groups, I got to assume, in the industry right now. You guys have put together there.
Well, you know, we've got an awesome Facebook group that's got almost 1,500 members on there. We have our own coaching clients, of course, and that's cool. And been doing the podcast for 6 years now. So there's a little bit of history in the audience for sure.
Yeah, you're definitely in the game, man. And we were talking earlier about because you have a partner in the Private Practice Owners Club, and Adam Robin. What is it?
Robin, just like
Robin. I don't know why I always want to put a D in there for some reason.
It's all right.
And we were just kind of talking about partnerships in general because, you know, we've seen it be an issue. And we're going to talk a little bit more about partnerships and, you know, how to improve your cash flow. But I do want to just touch on partnerships because it is something that, well, when they're good, they're good. And when they're bad, oh my God, it is terrible. So you've had 2 partners, right? Have you had more than that?
Well, I've had 2 now. Serious business partners. Yeah. Not just like people that share financial interest in a common real estate project or something like that. No, these are legit. We're in the weeds together.
Yeah. And you've had, for what I can tell, 2 pretty successful partnerships.
Yeah. I mean, listening to you, I count myself lucky. It sounds like 90% of the people that have partners that you're dealing with are having issues, and I've never really had issues before. Like, I've found amazing people that I can trust, and we have open and honest conversation, and we have pretty clear expectations, and I can't complain, man. I don't get anxiety over getting on a call with them. Like, I look forward to talking to my partners, and I'm sure plenty of people out there have a partner and they're like, oh, I have to deal with this guy. Yeah.
You didn't have an agenda, or not an agenda, but when you decided to go into business with these 2, did you have a process, or was it just like, no, I like these guys. We're on the same purpose lines. I can get along with them pretty well. And that was pretty much the extent of the decision at that point.
Well, you know, my process of partnering with Adam, which is just in the last year, was completely different than my process of partnering with Will, which was, I don't know, 10 plus years ago, 12 years ago. Because 12 years ago, I didn't know anything. We just like, hey, you want to partner? Okay, let's do it. And it was like, and that was it. Right. So the reason why I believe my partnership with Will worked so well was, we came from some very shared values.
Yeah.
We met each other at church.
Yeah.
So you can't get more fundamental than that, right?
No, you had a basic bedrock of things you guys agreed upon, especially from, just like you said, a value system. I mean, that means a lot right there. Yeah.
Yeah, right there. That told me a lot about him, simply because we have the same experience through church and life experiences because we share the same religion.
Yep.
So we talked. Initially with Will, though, also we worked together. So he was a clinic director of mine in a clinic, and I gave him a ton of autonomy, to the point where I actually kind of abdicated leadership because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing as an owner or overseeing a second location. And but we worked together still, in spite of all my flaws. Will looked past them, thankfully, and was grateful for the opportunity to be a clinic director, and had some profit sharing, and he loved it. Of course, financially, it worked out for him. Worked out for me too, to the point where he eventually bought that clinic from me, and then we went and opened a clinic together. And still nothing written in stone. A lot of shared values, a lot of communication. Hey, I'm having issues. What do you think? Or me, I'm having issues. What do you think? We talk about it. It did get to the point, though, where we did merge all of the clinics that we had together. So there were 4 clinics out there that were his, hers, and ours kind of thing. Well, sorry, his, and ours.
Yeah, I get
and
it.
We got that's when we got a lawyer involved, and they actually took us through, like, these are the things that you need to consider. Let's figure out worst case scenarios and how we're going to decide if there's an impasse between the two of you.
So you didn't do it right away, but you guys eventually did get all the agreements in place.
Yeah. So we had a very long honeymoon before we tied the knot, essentially. And so, to compare and contrast with my partnership with Adam, yeah, we worked together for about a year. But that was my thinking the entire time, that we were eventually going to get to that lawyer situation.
Yeah.
But the idea, and we talked about this initially, we did 2 things that I think were important. If I think of more, give me some leeway. But the first thing, I don't know if you know about Dan Sullivan and his coaching program. He's a pretty popular coach out there. But one of the forms that he uses for any project is called the one-page worksheet. It's for the ideal scene, essentially. And you write down what your ideal scene is. So I did that for the coaching business, looking forward if I'm going to work with Adam. And then I had him do the same thing. Like, what does he want out of the coaching business? What is his ideal scene working with me? And in that, I got really frank. I was like, I do not want to do X, Y, and Z. And I expect X, Y, and Z. And he had this, he spelled out his expectations, right? His ideal scene. And we figured out we were both cool with each other's ideal scene. So I remember the conversation, and it's something I stole from someone else, frankly, but I just said, hey, let's
Most
just
great ideas are stolen anyway. So what does it matter?
Right. And I said, let's just hit some singles. And what I mean by that is, let's try working together and see if some sparks start flying. If we're able to have some success together, if we work together, if we like talking to each other, meeting with each other, and we share some similar ideas, and we're able to gain some traction with this thing, let's just hit some singles, to use a baseball analogy, before we try to hit a home run. And we frankly did that for about a year. I will add one more thing there. I wanted to be very clear in what the payments were for work. So I told him up front, there is no sweat equity in this. I don't want to have this conversation 2 years down the road and you say, I did X, Y, and Z and I never got paid for it. So I expect to get X, Y, and Z now. And I was up front. I said, I don't want to hear any of that. If you don't feel like you're getting paid what you should get paid, then let's have a conversation about it and get you paid what you think you should get paid if the company's making money, right? So I said, for the technical work, there was a book that helped me with this, and I can't remember what it was. Something about pie. Anyways, sharing
sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for the technical work, if you're going to coach, let's figure out now, what is your hourly rate for coaching? And let's negotiate that. And if it's cool with me, it's cool with you, then we'll put that kind of stuff in writing. Like, you're going to get paid this amount of money for coaching. You're going to get this amount of commission for a sale that you generate, because he was going to be over sales. You're going to get paid this much per hour or whatever for if you needed to do some computer work. And then you're going to get paid every 2 weeks or every month. Right. And there's not going to be this, we're going to put in together. Well, if we did do that, then let's spell it out somehow. Right. This is what we landed on. It could have been any other way, but that book kind of helped me figure that out. So, like I said, to compare and contrast, I had years of a honeymoon period with Will before we actually got to the lawyer. I had a year of that situation with Adam. With that initial conversation about how you're going to get paid and all that stuff, before we finally sat down with a lawyer and he had equity in the business and all that kind of stuff. And we still have, and we revisited the technical working rates and stuff like that. And that's where we're at now. And so there were, and I will say, Adam doesn't share my faith system. He's not part of my church, but I knew from, I have to admit, he was my first coaching client like 5 years ago. So I also had a very good idea who I was getting into business with, based on what I saw in his work as a coaching client. And so that helped a ton. But I think that really helped with our relationship, that we didn't jump into it really quickly. We've shared our ideal scenes and knew what each other expect out of each other. And we were very clear about those conversations regarding money, because that seems to be one of the biggest hiccups, is how we're going to spend money and who's going to get paid for what. And I tried to knock those out of the way before we even agreed to work together.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually it's like, what is the direction of the company, the money issue, and then the time and effort put in. Usually it's frustration over one partner that's not putting the time or effort in, and other one's having to do all the work. It's just the inequities of that.
Well, and that's what I was very clear about that. Like, hey, Adam came to me and said, hey, I want to build something. I want to build a coaching business. And I know you have a brand. And I'd love to leverage your brand. Let's work together. And I said, listen, I really don't want to do a lot with it. Frankly, I don't want to
I hate coaching.
I don't want to coach. And I do coach here and there, but it's on my time and the people that I want to coach. But I don't want to be the guy that is doing the coaching, for 10 people, each 20 calls a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was very clear about that. And so, like you said, I wanted to be clear about it, because I wanted to say, there is going to be an inequity here. I'm not going to work as much as you, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you also to get paid for the work that you do, not thinking that it's, and if you get paid your hourly rates, and you'll get any distributions just like I will, I'll get paid hourly rates, which are nothing because I'm not doing anything, but I'm also going to get a distribution, and you need to be cool with that. Right.
Yep.
And so, those were the conversations that we had initially. And he was cool with that, and we worked great.
And it worked, because you guys expanded that thing. I remember what you had, maybe like 300 or 400 members right now, and now you're up to 50. What did you say, 1,500 or something like that?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's growing all the time. And same thing with our client load. I came into it with maybe 1 or 2 clients, and we're over 30 now, and so it's worked out really well for us, and he's putting a ton of work into it, but he's also getting paid very well.
Yeah.
And I don't get paid a lot unless we get a distribution. And I purposely set that up to recognize the inequity in the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
That you're going to get compensated more for it. And that's fine with me.
Yeah. Cause you're not having to do most of the work at this point in time. And
right. I'm frankly, I'm taking on a little bit more now as we're growing.
Yep.
But it's in a situation where he's kind of turned over his virtual assistant to me, who already knows how to do all this stuff. So I just have to oversee the virtual assistant, and it still doesn't take a lot of work.
Simple. That's great.
Yeah.
Good, man. Well, let's turn to cash flow, because I think that's another one that we always like to talk about here. And a lot of people don't. I don't know why, but
they don't want to talk about cash flow.
Nope. They hate it. Most owners, it is kind of interesting to get the viewpoints when it comes to money and finances and, talking about all that. But you have to know it.
That's where the dreams happen.
It really is. You have to know it. It's like, how can you manage something where, the money coming into the organization, if you don't know how to manage it, it's could either cause the expansion or cause the destruction. You have to know how that works, how the inner pipes work of this. But money is an interesting thing. But I know there was, part of what you wanted to talk about was the 4 methods. Was it more 4 methods to improve cash flow? Or
the 4 phases of your business that you need to address in order to maximize cash flow.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So it started a few years ago. I was working with a client, and as we're getting off the call, he's like, Nathan, I need to know how to increase my average reimbursement per visit. And I'm like, well, we're at the end of the call. It's like, we could spend another 2 hours talking about this. So I put things down on paper, and it came to mind pretty easily, like how this needs to come together. And I thought, I need to get this out more. I made an online course, ptcourses.com. I think, I don't know. I forget. I need to do better at promoting it and marketing it. But I also presented it at our conference in September. We had our first annual Private Practice Owners Club conference in September 2024 in Clearwater, which you attended.
I absolutely did. Looking forward to the next one, which
October 2nd through 4th in Destin, Florida.
Nice. October 2nd through 4th, Destin, Florida. If you are a physical therapist, make sure you are there.
Well, if you're any type of private practice owner,
really,
it doesn't have to be just physical therapists. Oh yeah, we're coaching speech therapists now. We're coaching pediatrics.
Boom. All right. Yeah. There you go.
Yes, you got OTs on board. So we don't have a landing page yet. So I would say this: make sure you join the Facebook group, Private Practice Owners Club. Just look for that on the Facebook. You'll see all the notifications that we post on there. We'll probably be putting out the landing page in another month or so, depending on when this releases. But that should be the first part of May. Mm-hmm. And then you can also find me on LinkedIn. And if you go to the podcast, we're going to have ads in there as well. It's the Private Practice Owners Club podcast. There's over 300 episodes. Yours truly hosts it, and my BFF here, BFFF.
I've been on a lot of them, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's been on a ton of them. So you'll see a lot of good content there if you're the practice owner, and we'll post it there. So, anyways, I did the course, and I presented this at the conference, and then we just did a workshop in New York City this last week, and presented the same material because I think it's super valuable. I mean, I would assume that most owners would want to increase their revenues 10% without doing much more, without having to see more patients, frankly. And you can do that if you just clean up your systems a little bit, just a little. And I'm serious, it's not a lot of work. And hopefully that translates or comes across during the course of this conversation. But there's 4 phases to consider. And by cleaning up these 4 phases, I can promise you're going to increase your revenue, and thus should increase your profit because expenses staying the same, right? Increase your profit by even more. This is to like take home cash in your pocket by addressing these internal systems and cleaning them up, right? And so they're not that difficult, but I put them in sequence from easiest to implement to hardest to implement, and quickest return on cash flow to longer return on cash flow. But there's 4 phases. Those 4 phases are just knowing your financial numbers.
All right. Well, what's
getting that dialed in?
Talk about that.
Let me just lay out the 4, and then we'll get into each one. So there's knowing your financials, getting that dialed in. being really good at over-the-counter collections, and
Okay.
I will explain what really good means. Properly holding your billing collections team accountable, which is a super weak spot for a lot of owners. They just don't know how, right? And the fourth part was maximizing your billing and coding, like getting your provider, you or your providers, to maximally bill for all the services you provide every visit, right? And so starting with the first one, right? Knowing your financial numbers. I'm sure you've brought it up many times with Eric on the podcast, but and maybe you discussed it a little bit, but would you say that most private practice owners that you come across aren't very knowledgeable regarding their financial metrics?
Well, they all just have the wrong. They usually have a wrong number when it comes to their, what they think they need to bring in. So when you say know your numbers, it's like, make sure that they're correct. And assuming you're talking about like, I know what needs to come into the organization for me to be able to operate and expand and be solvent.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of KPIs. There's a lot of stats that you could be aware of, but what you're talking about is what's commonly known as the break-even number, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your break-even? Covering all your expenses plus 10% profit, right? What is that number, either in terms of cash flow or visits per week, right?
Right.
You probably need to know both numbers, frankly.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your baseline, right? Knowing that. Everyone's going to guess on their average reimbursement per visit, which is a key KPI. Yet they're probably not tracking it like month to month. They're probably just kind of guessing and not knowing the specifics. More importantly, they don't know what their cost per visit is. And if they don't know their cost per visit, they don't have a good idea whether or not that low-paying insurance contract is making them money or not, right? And then you're also looking at when you're also talking about financial metrics, you're talking about like what's your profit margin? I mean, is it in the single digits? And if it is, then what could you be doing better? Because owning a company and getting single digit profit returns isn't worth your while.
Nope.
Wouldn't you say?
No, it sucks.
Yeah, totally. That's not why you got business.
God, no.
And so these are some of the basic KPIs that the financial statistics you need to know. And I recommend that you're talking to your CPA or bookkeeper, whoever's reconciling your accounts every month.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's one thing that they didn't teach us in physical therapy or occupational therapy, speech therapy schools, is how to run your business and know your financial metrics. So like for me, I had to tell my CPA at one point, like, dude, listen, you and I were going to sit down for a month or once a month. You're going to talk to me for an hour and explain to me what profit and loss statement and a balance sheet is and how to read my financials. He's like, cool, let's do it. And so you pay the tuition and you meet with those people so they can show you exactly what's going on. And you look at the monthly financials and you do the month over month comparisons and the month over year or that year versus previous year comparisons. And you look at your balance sheet and you look at outlying expenses that are $2,000 more this month than they were last month. And why? Was it just an itemization problem, or was someone really going crazy with your credit card?
Mm-hmm.
You look at that stuff, and that, the underlying principle is that which gets measured improves. And if you are looking over your financials purposefully and intentionally to improve the financial health of your company, then your financial health will improve.
Yep.
Right. Knowing the data kind of forces your hand. I mean, you can still be lazy about it, but it does tell you what to do. Frankly.
Yeah, it's a great starting point. You have to have the awareness of that.
Just being aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to go further on that guiding principle, which is that which gets measured improves, that which gets measured and reported improves exponentially. Which leads me into the second phase, and that is over-the-counter collections. If you want to quickly, like I'm talking like this week, improve your collections, then implement a system of daily accountability for over-the-counter collections. So when we're talking over-the-counter collections, that's every copay, right? That's straightforward. It's usually determined by the insurance company, and they tell you collect $20 a visit, $30 a visit, whatever. Co-insurances, that's a little bit more nebulous, just like deductibles. If it's early in the year, your front desk person might not be too sure what to collect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, the people who are doing really well with over-the-counter collections and don't have a lot of outstanding patient balances later on are the people that are saying, well, we're going to take a really good guess as to how much you need to pay this visit, and we're not going to just leave it for the insurance to figure out and come after you later. We're going to collect it today. And if we have to cut you a check, we'll do that. But I would much rather cut a check than chase you down for $150.
Yeah.
Right. That takes more energy from my team. Let's get the $150 over the course of these next 2 visits or today and save the time and energy. Right.
That's
and
a good
so
point.
getting that money now is significantly better than trying to get it later. I think it was a McKinsey study. I have a hard time finding, but I know it's out there that said anything that's not collected at the time of service, you're losing 50 to 60% of that dollar if it's not paid at that time. So if your outstanding patient balance is $20,000 right now on your aging AR, you can maybe collect $10,000 of that. But you could have collected $20,000 if you collected at the time of service.
Yeah.
And for those people who are saying, well, people aren't going to pay at the time of service. Well,
Why not?
okay, then maybe you could be collecting $15,000 at the time of service instead of 20. It works out in your favor. Don't be the bank. You're not a bank. You're providing a service and you should expect to get paid. The question sometimes becomes, well, how much do I expect them to pay if they haven't met their deductible or co-insurance? And I say it's really easy. If you really don't want to go through the process of figuring out which insurance is going to pay how much, and it's going to be different for every payer and every patient. If your average reimbursement rate, you can expect to be $100 a visit, and they haven't met the deductible, collect $100 a visit. And if you overshot it, you send them a check some other time. It's a lot easier to handle. And if their co-insurance is 40%, and you get $100 a visit, then you're collecting $40 every visit, no matter what. Right? And that right there would make a huge drastic difference. But it still doesn't come back to the guiding principle, which is that which gets measured improves. That which gets measured and reported improves exponentially. So the missing piece is, that's the one expectation is that we're going to collect everything at the time of service. So I broke that down as to why. The next step, though, is to get your front desk person who's collecting these to report those collections every day, at the end of every day. So I tell everybody, this was our process. If today's a Monday, tonight, they would fill out a sheet. And some EMRs can do this. Some of them can't. Back in the day, we had to do it manually. So we had this Excel spreadsheet. And if you want a sample of that, just email me, Nathan@ppoclub.com. I'll give you a sample spreadsheet for your front desk to write out. But on that spreadsheet, on the very left-hand side, they're going to list all the patients that are coming tomorrow on Tuesday. And in the next column, it's going to say, how much are you expected to collect on their copay tomorrow? Right? And it goes down exactly how we talked about. Whether it's copay, co-insurance, or deductible, you write down that number in each one. And then that's the sheet. They prepare that tonight. And then tomorrow, whoever's running the front desk follows that sheet. Hey, so-and-so, John Smith, you got a $20 copay. How are you going to pay that today? And you go through the day like that. And then at the end of the day, you have all your notes, you have your spreadsheet, and you're able to reconcile your credit cards, your checks, and your cash. And you say, okay, we were supposed to collect $1,000 today. How much did we collect? Well, $990. Cool. That's a 99% collections rate.
Yeah.
Right? That's where it should be. But if it's like 500 out of 1,000, we have issues because I'm expecting frankly, I expect 99% collections every day. And so that way they have a scorecard, and every day how well they're doing. They know how well they're doing, how well they're doing. And they turn that spreadsheet, all the credit card batch receipt, the checks, the cash, put it in an envelope, put it in a safe box, wherever that is in your office, and send off the spreadsheet to the billing collections company and the clinic director so they know, how collections went and what happened. So that kind of reporting system made huge dividends for us. It was great. All of a sudden, we were collecting a lot more every day. Cash flow seemed better, a lot less on the patient balances remaining. But then the third thing in regards to that, to the front desk, and this has changed since I own my practices, but now most EMRs give you the capacity. And if EMR doesn't do it, there are third parties that do it. You have to have credit cards on file for every patient, no matter what.
No matter what.
People always bring up the excuses. Well, my patients don't want to put credit cards on file. I don't accept that excuse. I think they put it out there as a self-limiting belief.
Yeah.
But those same patients that might tell you that they don't want to share their credit card information, I promise you they have an Amazon account, they have a Netflix account, they have a number of other online services that have their credit card information. And nowadays, that's just not a proper excuse.
Yeah, you got to have a really strong front desk person to run this too, don't you? I mean, you need a good person.
You have someone who is not afraid to ask for money.
That's right. They have to be like a bulldog on when it comes to asking for money.
Yeah, and that's just that's a different conversation. I've had that conversation on the podcast with D Bills before about what it takes to collect money at the front desk. You can't have someone who's like, if your copay says $20, but how are you possibly going to pay that today? That's not. No, you need someone who says, hey, it's your insurance. It's not mine. And we're providing the services, and you're not going to leave us hanging high and dry. I need $20 today if you want to go back there.
Yeah.
That kind of attitude, you're not going to use those words, but that kind of attitude and be very forward about it and say, and you also have to back them up and say, if you're not willing to put credit card on file, we can't see you.
Yes.
You do have to get to that point if you get serious about it.
Yeah.
Like you're asking us without having a credit card on file. You can pay another way when you come in. If you want to pay with cash, that's fine. We won't run your credit card. You can pay with a check. Fine. We won't run your credit card. But if you're saying, I want my services and I want you guys to be on the hook for all of it.
You're going to give me something.
Yeah. Good luck catching me for my balance later, or just trust me. No, we're not going to do that anymore. I mean, we have HIPAA compliant credit card retention capabilities, and we're just gonna bill it when you come in each time, which is a convenience to you. And frankly, a majority of the patients, when you send them a text at the end of the month and says, hey, you have all of your claims have been processed through your insurance company. There's a $148 balance remaining. We're going to charge your credit card in 5 days. So if you have any problems, give us a call. I mean, that would be so much easier than sending out 3 letters and reminders and sending them for collections and I mean, patients would be like, yeah, thank you. I don't have to cut a check and send it back in the mail and make sure I get to the post office and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, just please charge my credit card. So I think I'm spending a lot of time on it simply because if you want to do one thing now that can increase your cash flow, that's it.
Yeah, that's good.
It'll completely change the complexion of your cash flow and your collections, because now imagine all those patient balances are getting collected up front. You should have little to no money in your patient balances, in your AR aging that are patient balances, because you have it all on you paid it on credit card, or you charge their credit cards, and at the end of every month, you're saying, hey, insurance has done their thing. Now we're just going to charge your card. You don't have to worry about us.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 3.
That's huge. That was the second one. The third one, like I said, really weak spot for owners is managing their billing collections team, simply because we don't know. I mean, we like financials, we never learn what the billing collections process is like. Really, we don't know how to manage them. And the dynamic going into that relationship, and probably is now for many owners, is like they almost feel like a servant to the billing collections team. The billing collections team is kind of telling them what to do over and over again, and maybe sending them an email of the billing reports that you don't know how to read. And so you're like, okay, I guess things are going well. When I finally had a biller that I could trust, and someone who was very serious about collections and had that dogged mentality that you're talking about, she was going to get every dollar no matter what, a godsend. I finally got into a rhythm, and this is 12 years into ownership. Finally got into a rhythm of how to manage my billing collections team. She kind of told me, she was like, this is what this report means, and this is what this report means, and this is what we're doing on this. And so essentially sitting down with your billing collections team is back to the guiding principle: that which gets measured improves. That which gets measured and reported improves exponentially. I set up a monthly meeting with them. What was it, like the second Thursday or the 13th of every month, or whatever time they need to get their reports together and stuff, for the previous month. Then we'd get together on that day, same time, same day, every month. This is when we're meeting, and this is the agenda we're going to follow. So we typically do what's called a one-word open, just to see, hey, how are you feeling today? One word, boom, boom. We talk about our purpose and values just a little bit to make sure we're on the same page. And this is in-house or outsourced. It doesn't matter. I generally follow. And then we'd go over the reports. And so I want to see, what's the ARA aging look like? I also want to see, so we got into the habit of projecting. So if we're looking at January numbers for collections, we collected so much money. Well, we knew how many visits we had in December, and we'd take the December visits times the average reimbursement rate and say, this is your goal, this is your target for collections in January, right? I know there's a lot of factors in there, but it usually works out. So we had 100 visits in December, and we have $100 average reimbursement per visit. We're expecting you to collect $10,000 in the month of January. And so in February, first part of February, we're looking at January collections. Did you hit the $10,000 or not? And if you did, why? And if you didn't, why not? Mm-hmm. And we also projected forward at that time. Okay, now we saw 150 visits in January. This month in February that we're sitting in right now, you're going to collect $15,000, 15 or 150 times 100. You're going to collect $15,000. And she's like, yeah. I'm going to collect $15,000. And we'd play that out each month. So the projected revenues, the AR aging reports, we'd look at patient balances, we'd look at AR aging reports, especially by payer. So some you can look at it as a whole, right? But you can also look at it like, okay, Blue Cross and Blue Shield has $8,900 in 90 plus aging AR. Okay, why? And what are you doing about it? And what did you do about it last week? Like, don't just tell me why, but tell me what you're doing about it and who you talked to and when. Mm-hmm. Like, I wanted all the notes for those outstanding balances. Same thing with patient balances. We went over that. And then I forgot to mention, in the AR aging, we had some cardinal rules or some benchmarks we expected. So 0 to 60 days, if you're taking any notes, this is the time to take notes because you're going to forget these numbers. 0 to 60 days AR aging. That should be 80% of your AR, right? So if you have $100,000 in accounts receivable, money that's out there that you need to collect, 80,000 of it should be serviced within the first 0 to 60 days, right? The 60 to 90 day AR aging should be 5% of that, $100,000. 90 to 120, another 5%, and then 120 plus 10%. Right? So if your billing collections team is doing really, really well, they have that dialed in. Mm-hmm. They are at 80, 5, 5, 10. 80 for 0 to 60, 5 for 60 to 90, 5 for 90 to 120, and 10% for 120 and above. They have that really dialed in. And you hold them accountable to it. You're like, okay, what do we need to do to get back within these benchmarks or expectations, right? And so we looked at a lot of details. Like if there was a patient balance over $1,000, we talked about that person and what we're doing about it. And if there was something that was really lingering, of course, that usually happened with like the lawyer cases, the personal injury, or I know East Coast calls it no fault, but we talked about those cases one by one each month. What's happening? What's the status? And so, but I need to go back to the dynamic. In that situation, they are then reporting to you. Like, it's not your job to just sit through the AR reports and find issues and ask questions. They should be coming to you and say, here's the report. Here are the problems in the report, and this is what we're doing. Or here's our AR aging. It's not 85/510, and this is why, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I know our projected collections was supposed to be $10,000 in January. We didn't hit it because XYZ. And this is what we're doing about it. And this is what we can expect in February.
Yeah,
so
because
you see how that power dynamic is completely different.
Yeah, because too many people are just like, too many owners are like, all right, give me, or just more than happy to take the problems that the juniors are going to give them, and then try to sit there and solve it for them, as opposed to just like you said, like having them come to you with the solution.
What I see is usually when I say, are you guys communicating with your billing and collections team? They're like, yeah, every day. But it's usually about some kind of problem or some copay that wasn't hit. I mean, we didn't even talk about denials. We talked about they bring forward the denials and they tell me what they're doing about it. Right. And so maybe they're talking about denials in between meetings, and that's fine. And you can continue to have those daily, weekly conversations. But at some point, they need to report to you their work and what they're doing about their stuff, and let them be the experts and let them own their issues. And that's a dynamic that isn't there in many cases. In many cases, I've seen the billing companies will just send over the billing reports that we're talking about without any communication. They just send over a packet of billing reports in the email. That's the worst possible billing situation you could be in. I expect my billing collections team to communicate with me regularly and to report to me regularly and know what I'm looking for. So it's not like you can say, this is what I expect, and it's going to change completely, do a 180 in 1 month. You have to train your billing collections company or person, if they're in-house, over the course of time. This is what I expect to see. So with each report, it's like, this is what I want to see in this. Can you be ready with that next time? They're like, yeah, okay.
That's good. And then what's 4? Or was that 4?
Fourth one was maximizing billing and coding procedures.
Okay, that's right.
Or for providers. So in the physical therapy space, it was very common practice for us to bill 3 therapeutic exercises in 1 minute therapy unit for a traditional 1-hour visit. And guess what the worst paying codes are in physical therapy? They're TheraX and manual therapy.
Yeah.
And so if you're old school like me and your team is still doing that, then I'm just saying there are significantly better, more lucrative ways to get reimbursed for your services ethically. You just have to do a little bit of work and train yourself. There are plenty of online sources to learn more about how to get reimbursed greater by coding better. It is a little bit state dependent, but if you want to look at Medicare guidelines specifically, StrataPT, StrataPT.com has a Medicare fee calculator online. You can put in your state and you can put in the codes that you use, whether you're PT or PTA, and it'll tell you what Medicare will pay you for that, for those combination services. And so you should do that. You should know these things as the owner, right? What you can get paid for your services. And across the board, therapeutic activities is going to pay you the most, followed by neuromuscular reeducation, followed by self-care / home management, self-care management. And then therapeutic exercises, and then manual therapy outside of evals and reevaluations. So knowing those and using the proper codes, and then, the difference between a therapeutic exercise code and therapeutic activity code, you don't know this, Eric, but it's just a matter of documentation. You could be doing the same exercise and you justify it differently, frankly. Like doing a squat, instead of saying you did a squat to improve strength, Well, I'm doing a squat because they have difficulty getting out of a chair. And I'm trying to improve their sit to stand abilities, right? And that in and of itself, more than likely, now don't hold me to it, but more than likely would justify therapeutic activity code.
God, we have such a screwed up system, don't we?
Oh, it's so stupid. Yeah.
God.
And but the worst thing you can do is
Oh my God.
do like 3 Therax and 1 manual. Probably the best thing you could do is one of each of those: therapeutic activity, neuromuscular reeducation, therapeutic exercise, and manual therapy. Then probably that will pay you better. What will pay you the best is 4 therapeutic activities. But I know in some states, if you use therapeutic activity code a lot, you get red flagged. The New York City guys were telling me that, like, if you use therapeutic activity code, you're probably going to get audited. They don't like to see it, but I think 1 therapeutic activity code here shouldn't be an issue. But if you're using multiple, that can be a problem in New York. So that's New York. I know in Arizona, you can do 4 therapeutic activities. It's usually no problem. But you need to learn the system, and you need to start navigating. Well, some insurances don't like it, but some insurances don't care. So now you need to know, as the owner, and train your team. XYZ insurance, we're going to bill this code all the time because it maximizes care, and we're going to justify it accordingly with our documentation.
Yeah.
Whether we can ethically bill for it and show our reasoning behind it. But this XYZ insurance isn't going to let us do that. And so we know we have to bill the Therexes and the manuals, and maybe that one allows you to do a reevaluation code that you couldn't do with the other one. And that's how you maximize profit. And so you have to know these things. And it's work that you do with your billing team. When they get a denial, then they tell you this code isn't working in combination with that code, or we do better if you bill these codes together instead of those codes. And that's where you really start manipulating the system, frankly, because that's what the insurance companies are doing to you. And you need to know. If you really want to get paid the most for your services, you have to know how to navigate some of these differences between insurances and between codes.
It's a giant quagmire, but you have to try to understand the quagmire as best as you can.
Yeah, there are some billing companies that are doing better, or maybe even some AI services. Like Aphelis was a sponsor at a conference, and they have an AI billing program platform that handles, frankly, can handle some of that stuff. Like when a denial comes in, they don't have to wait for someone to handle it manually. Like the AI program already knows what to do with that denial and kicks it back out in real time with the changes that need to be made. So some of that stuff is coming down the pipe, or actually is here. Like Aphelis has that.
Yeah.
And there will be more. But the AI component is going to be helpful because insurance companies are using AI already to
they're going to use it to deny you. So you better fight fire. You're going to need to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, we're behind the 8 ball currently because they're already doing it, and we need to do the same. So there's knowing the billing collections game, not only just managing them, but how to maximize your reimbursement rates visit to visit is huge. And it can't be, I can't state it enough, that those owners then have to train their providers, because coming out of physical therapy school, in our cases, they're going to teach you Medicare billing guidelines. And if you use Medicare billing guidelines across all the commercial payers, you are losing money.
Right.
Because AMA billing guidelines, which are a lot of the commercial payers, you can actually see a patient for a less amount of time and bill the same amount of units. And that's just the game as well. And so you have to train that out of your providers because they're coming out of school like that. In doing that, and I think you understand this concept pretty well, Eric, is that the owner can't be doing that training. Because they're thinking, oh, you're just telling us how to manipulate the system so you can make more money, right? I mean, I think that's kind of might be a default process. But not only that, your team members tend to accept the training of people who are more of their peers, or that they see as experts and not the owner. So if you use a Gowenda if you do some trainings through MedBridge on billing and coding and stuff like that, or who else is out there that does it? I'm not sure, but those are the two that come to mind. Go into MedBridge. Let them do the training, right? That way, it's a third party, and if there are any kickback, if there's any kickback, then you can like go back to the third party and say, well, what does it say we could do? Well, let's use that, and can we just agree that he's the expert, and we'll just do what they say?
Yeah.
Instead of fighting with you as the owner, right?
Yeah, that makes
sense. But the owner has to have the knowledge first, and then they can implement those changes. So you can see back to what I was talking about. I laid those 4 situations out from easiest to hardest because it's going to be really easy. It should be easy to get your numbers. Pretty easy to make some over-the-counter collections changes today if you really want to. And then managing a billing collections team and then getting your provider team to change their billing and coding practices can take a little bit more work. But if you spend the next 3 to 4 months on this, we're talking an increase in revenues of like 15%, 20%.
Which is enormous.
It's huge. Yeah. It doesn't sound like a lot, but
no, it's a lot.
You change your average reimbursement rate by $5 a visit, that's closer to like 5 or 6% change. You get your average reimbursement rate up $5 to $6 a visit. Translate that over 10,000 visits. It's all cash money. I mean, it's all profit.
Yep, it really is.
You're not increasing your expenses. You're just improving your internal systems.
Good stuff, my friend. That was granular, man. I didn't expect that. That was you went deep. You went deep.
I hope I didn't go too long on it. For me, I hear about some of this stuff and my mind. So this is me, and the reason why I got deep into it is like, if I were listening, I'd be like, okay, so how do I do that? Like, I need to know the granular because that's where I get hung up. And if I don't know if someone doesn't tell me how to do it, then I'm kind of stuck like, well, I don't know where to go next. So I guess I won't do anything. So hopefully I didn't take up too much time, man.
That was,
I was just kind of going off, but
it was needed. Help me in the industry just because there are parts of that where I'm, I wouldn't have even thought about that. But you definitely went from the easiest gradient down to the most difficult, but I think all those things combined together, is it worth all the time and effort to increase your revenues by 10, 15%? Oh my God, yes. Like, imagine how different your life is going to be if you increase that amount. Like, imagine how much.
Seriously, I've taken people through my course. They spend probably 4 hours on average, 3 to 5 hours a week on this stuff. And upon doing that, do that for about 3 to 4 months. Yeah. And it makes significant change. So this isn't a 40-hour per week effort. This is just improve your systems with a little bit of effort every week.
Yeah.
And then maintaining them afterwards is significantly less. It's just, an hour a week, maybe.
Yeah. That will 100% improve your bottom line and make life a lot easier because of that.
Yeah. And we need to. I mean, we're an industry.
You need to. Yeah.
We're getting thin margins already. And that leads to the next conversation, the next course, frankly, is how to negotiate insurance contracts or drop them altogether. But I would tell people, even if I had that course, when I build it out, I don't really want to take you through that negotiating and dropping insurance contracts course until you have your internal systems.
Yeah, that's like your rudiments are in first before you could do that.
Yeah, because you really can't tell.
Because even if your reimbursement's better and you're still suck at the other things, it's not gonna improve you that much.
Yeah,
you're still gonna lose money.
Yeah, you need to have a handle on your financials. I mean, you need to be on top of your cash flow.
Yep.
And I'm talking from experience. Like, I didn't start doing this stuff until 10 years into ownership. I can't imagine how many tens of thousands, if not $100,000 I lost by not having systems like this. So learn from the village idiot, if you will. I mean, let me teach you how to make more money.
Let him teach you. That's good, brother. Well, how do people, I think you gave your email out, but how do you want people to reach you? The easiest way to do it?
Nathan at ppoclub.com. If you have questions, especially about some of these financial things, I'd love to talk to you. No obligation. Like I'm happy to talk to you. On the group side, if you want to be part of a bigger group that is having these conversations and you want to know about what we're doing in the future, that's Private Practice Owners Club. In the Facebook group, we have the website, ppoclub.com, where you can learn a little bit more about us and schedule an appointment, or you can reach out to me directly. And then the LinkedIns and the podcast, Private Practice Owners Club podcast. If you are a podcast consumer, I'd like to say, I think, you know me, I don't promote myself a lot. I think we've got one of the better, if not the best, private practice podcast focused on business that's out there.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's a ton of valuable content on there. Not just like financials is like a small part of it. We're talking about everything from recruiting to mindset to time management to a lot of small business stuff in general. But it's great. You got to check out the podcast and binge listen on that.
100%. I highly recommend that. All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's great.